We'll look back on what happened last night. Chargers handled the Jets. That was not a good game for either team, really. I looked at the Chargers. They had their moments, and they took advantage of them. As for the Jets, that anemic offense, I mean, they're scoring a touchdown. Their offense is scoring a touchdown a game. That's the average for them. A little more than that. The Giants, they're around the same average there. I think one has 8 touchdowns. The other has 9 offensive touchdowns. But the Chargers got the win. And I started to look ahead with the Chargers. They're 4-4. I don't know if they're a 4-4 or they're a 4-4. But they're healthy, and that's usually a problem for the Chargers. They host Detroit, at Green Bay, host Baltimore, at New England, host Denver, at the Raiders. All right, at least you're hosting Baltimore and Detroit. So you might have a shot with one, if not both, at New England, at Green Bay, hosting Denver, and at the Raiders. All right, you could see maybe a playoff picture there for the Chargers coming up, but they've been kind of quiet. Justin Herbert didn't look great last night, but the defense looked really good last night. Or I should say the Jets' offensive line looked terrible last night. And yes, Zach Wilson will be the scapegoat. He's not the solution, but I don't think he's the problem. I think they got other issues there. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers warming up before the game, I don't know if I'm ready to get right back behind that offensive line. You might go, can we do anything in the meantime here while I'm rehabbing? Help me with that offensive line? Because that was not pretty. But I thought when I'm watching the game, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm going to say at least I'm not a Giants fan. Because there's a little more hope with the Jets than there is the Giants. All right, Seton, what's the poll question? We're going to start out with hour one.
We can talk about the more frustrating franchise, Dan, the LA Chargers or the New York Jets?
The Chargers have it's a different kind of frustration because the Chargers have the talent to be a Super Bowl contender. The Jets haven't had that talent. It's frustrating that they haven't been able to cobble together a competitive team or a consistent team. The Chargers, I just look at as it's an opportunity lost because eventually that window closes. It's like the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are a better version of that window closing opportunity to play in big games. The Chargers never even got to that level. And they do have talent. They got a good running back, a couple of good receivers. They got some impact defensive players. Justin Herbert. Herbert last night became the fastest player in NFL history with 1,500 completions. He did that in 57 games. 5 games faster than Patrick Mahomes and Matthew Stafford. Keenan Allen. 10,000 career receiving yards. So he joins Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, Devontae Adams on that list. They have moments. Austin Eckler, a couple of touchdowns last night. Austin Eckler last year was unbelievable. But it comes down to, do you believe in Brandon Staley as the coach? And is he ready for a big moment? Is Justin Herbert ready for a big moment? We thought he was last year. Then they lose to Jacksonville after a big lead. They're kind of puzzling and frustrating. But, you look at the schedule, and they do have that opportunity here. You could go through the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say you go 4-2. All right, you're 8-6. You're on the doorstep there. Yeah, Paulie.
It's frustrating, though, because the Chargers so far this season don't have a quality win. They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Chiefs. Lost to the Dolphins and the Titans. Quality teams. I'm fudging it with the Titans. But then they got their wins over the Vikings, Raiders, Bears, and Jets. Yeah. It's like you said, they have an opportunity here to either get their coach fired or get in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams, like the Dolphins. I don't know who the Dolphins are. As I said yesterday, I find them fascinating. They're interesting. I don't know if they're good. They have those moments where you go, oh, boy, nobody wants to face them. Well, they have to get into the playoffs before you say, oh, nobody wants to face them. And that could be the case. And I don't think the Jets are that far away. When I watch, I go, okay, they got a good running back. They got a really good wide receiver. Zach Wilson, as I said, is not the problem. He's just not the solution. If you're expecting him to be something more than what he is right now, then, I think you're fooling yourself. The defense is really good, and I thought the defense played well last night. They shut down the Chargers. You had a punt return. You had a fumble return for a touchdown. Other than that, I thought the Chargers offense was pretty quiet. Yes, Todd?
Would the Jets be significantly better if they had a much better running quarterback based on their offensive line, if they had someone dynamic enough to get around that weakness?
Well, Zach Wilson's running. He's running for his life back there. I don't know if it matters. If he had Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson, are they going to be better? Well, of course they will. But I just think we keep looking at Zach Wilson and expecting him to be somebody that he's not. And the Jets, we talked about this should the Jets have gone out and got Josh Dobbs? Like all of a sudden Josh Dobbs is this, coveted quarterback. He's been on 5 teams in the last, 2 months. But he does play well, and he has poise, and he's a little bit older. But if you do that, then you're saying to Zach Wilson, it's all over for you. And I think they had to find out what they had. And they have. Now they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. But also Aaron Rodgers out there throwing the football. And you start to wonder, okay, Aaron Rodgers wants you to see him. That's why he does this. He doesn't do this at 2 p.m. He does this right before game time. He wants ESPN's cameras on him. He is very proud of his rehab, and good for him. He wants to prove there's alternative medicine out there. Good for him. But at what point, if he's ready to play, do you want him to play? And even if you're kind of on the cusp of the playoffs, because I think Aaron Rodgers is so determined to come back and play this year. And yes, he's getting paid. He wants to help his teammates, but he wants to, I think a bigger picture is his take on modern medicine. Well, this is where Robert Saleh is going to have to come in, I think, at some point. And that is, he'll say, look, Aaron's been medically cleared. We've decided that we don't want him to play. Now, if they're playoff eligible, that'll be a really difficult decision, I think. And Rodgers is going to want to play. Now, I don't think anybody is going to believe that the Jets are going to shut down Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is medically cleared, Aaron Rodgers is going to want to play. It's that important. But you have 9 more games. Can he be ready? And with that offensive line, how do you feel? You've lost him for this season, for the most part. You don't want to lose him for next season. All right. What else do we have, Seton?
Well, off of the game last night, if you had to bet a week's pay, would you say Aaron Rodgers plays a regular season game or doesn't play at all this season? Okay. Regular season is an interesting caveat.
All right. I'll start with you, Todd.
I think he will find a way into the lineup at the end of the regular season.
All right. Seton O'Connor.
I don't think he will.
All right. Marvin?
No.
Paul?
Does not play this year.
I don't think he plays this year. I think he'll be healthy enough to play. I don't think he plays. I don't know if it's a medically cleared, but I don't think he plays. Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach, had this to say about his current quarterback.
Was this a step back for Zach, Robert?
I don't know if you could say step back. There's, like I said, it's all encompassing. Obviously he's going to want some things that he wishes he could have done better. It's just a little bit of everything. It's just one of those bizarre games that just every time we had momentum. Like I said, just a self-inflicted wound. Was it his best game? Obviously not. Was it his worst game? No, I'm not going to say it was even close to his worst game. But I think the entire offense, obviously we all could have been better.
Here's Zach Wilson on his performance.
I feel like I'm in best position I've ever felt mentally. My understanding of the game, I feel ready to be out there and be competing. And so that's what's so frustrating, and just not getting things done. It's frustrating, and it starts with me finding a way. But, I'm ready for the opportunity in the moment, and we got to find a way to get it done.
The Jets have 8 offensive touchdowns through 8 games. The Giants have 9 offensive touchdowns through 9 games. The last time you had 2 teams that were scoring 1 offensive touchdown or less through the first 9 games of a season was 2009. That's when the Raiders had 7. The Browns had 5 offensive touchdowns through 9 games.
Stat of the day, stat of the day,
Bop, bop.
Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that one stat of the day.
Paulie?
We were few minutes ago you said which team has more hope going forward, the New York Jets or New York Giants. Jets have a great defense, and they have supposedly Aaron Rodgers coming back next year. The Giants, they got a couple great defensive linemen, but they also right now have the 4th pick of the draft. They could, because of Daniel Jones' injury and how bad they are this year, they can get out of the Daniel Jones situation.
Yeah, but the Giants just traded away their best defensive lineman to Seattle. And Saquon Barkley, as much as I love watching him, I mean, the Giants are really nondescript.
They're a couple losses away from being in the Drake May window.
Yeah. But the Jets, Breece Hall, I like a lot. Garrett Wilson is really good. You got really good defensive players. And if you start with that cornerstone of we're a really good defensive team, it takes away the pressure of what Aaron Rodgers is going to have to do when he comes back. Really, you're only asking them to score a certain number of points, like 17. And then the defense, hang on to the football. And if you can get us 17 points, I mean, it's not like the Baltimore Ravens back in 2000 when they sort of just said, give us 10 points and we'll win all the games with our defense. But you're pretty close to that. Yeah, Paulie?
Going back to the Chargers, over the past 22 seasons, their quarterbacks have been Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and Justin Herbert, and they have not attended a Super Bowl.
Well, they've gone to a Super Bowl.
They watched it?
Yeah, Drew Brees has been at a Super Bowl.
But look at that. Look at the quarterback position. They've had Hall of Famer, even though they only had the early point of his career. Then Phil Rivers, very good quarterback, played for a long time. Justin Herbert, and nothing to show for it. Yeah. The Jets have had 15 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yes, Marv.
Are the Chargers on their 3rd generation of really good, talented teams, like the Fouts, Kellen Winslow? Then they went to a Super Bowl with Stan Humphries and Natron Means.
Yeah.
The poor man's Jerome Bettis. And then you got Phillip Rivers, LaDainian, Antonio Gates, and now this crew, they're like year number 40 of, man, this could be the year.
Well, you can go back to the Chargers with John Hadle and Lance Allworth and Dickie Post. Gary Garrison, they had a really, really talented offensive team. But you're right. It feels like every decade it's another, oh, my God, the Chargers are loaded. And then it's another decade, oh, man, they're loaded. And then they play like they're loaded because they're not dangerous. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.